It's race day. Welcome, race fans, to a showcase of driving perfection. My name's Webbo, and let's get down trackside. Hold on tight, we're gonna go for it. Boom, that's how it's done. Whoa, easy. Surely not all the way around the outside. Oh yeah, we're cooking now. Shake and bake, baby, shake and bake. This is a roller coaster of emotions. The drivers are pushing their machines to the limit and beyond. Woo, it doesn't get any better than that. We wait for the lights, the revs build and so does the excitement. And it's drop the clutch and go, go, go! Okay, driver, it's hammer time. This driver is an artist and the racetrack is their canvas. Did you see that? Did you see that? Wow! Let's watch it again. Ooh, hopefully they'll get away with that one. What a great start, and it looks like we can build on this now and really make a good race of it. There's the fastest lap, folks. No mercy on the menu today. Yeah, sideways is rarely ever faster, but you do get style points. And we roll the safety car dice. Leave them alone. They know what they're doing. Oh no, someone's gone bowling into turn one. What a shocker. Moving left, jinking right, keep them guessing. Lawn mowing as a side gig. And we go down the inside, Danny Rick style. We're on the edge of our seats here, folks. The racers are pushing their limits, risking it all for that coveted first place position and the all-important win. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The two cars ahead are fighting with each other. It's slowing them down. And through we go! That driver is a complete and total. A word has not been invented to describe how complete and total they are. But they are one, and a complete and total one at that. And it all comes down to this, the final lap. If you smell what this driver is cooking. This seems like as good a time as any to ask if you've subscribed yet. There's your Grand Slam, pole, fastest lap, and the win! Welcome, race fans, back to Deviant Racing. My name is Webbo, here to join you for the race today, of course, and it's GTD time on the right hand of your screen. We've just got done with the GTD Pro around Fuji Speedway. So this is the first potentially wet race of the season, round 2 here for the GTD drivers. Bongit is on top of the championship at the moment, with the win and the fastest lap last time out, with Izzy in second and Mr. Fish in third place. If you're here for Mr. Fish, you know the drill. Leave me a fish symbol, but whoever you're here for, do say so in the live chat today, and you're all very welcome. So be part of today's stream if you can. Dollars per win is 4th, with Aussie in 5th. Creamy is 6th and Huge Jar 7th. Then the drivers run through the order in single-digit increments for Jim, Sully, Thrasher, Siam and Kuros Kai. Dirksey and Saito have not scored yet, and the team standings prior to the earlier round for the GTD Pro. So coming out of Interlagos for the combined team standings, Team Wunderpferd ahead of NASCAR, Polio Loco, Sony Interactive, Predators, Team Builder and 404 Motorsport at the tail of the championship at the moment. Well, we're looking forward to a fabulous race here around Fuji. I've done quite a lot of races around Fuji. I've called quite a lot of races around Fuji in the last couple of months. We're going for the slightly shorter route, so those who know the track well will know that Dunlop Corner can either be a sort of 70-degree right-hander or more like a 120-degree right-hander into a mini chicane. This time we're not taking that turn 11 chicane at Dunlop. We're going to go straight on up the hill towards the right-hander, and we are in the foothills of Mount Fuji. Looking forward to the race no end, and qualifying will be getting underway, and I think in just about 2 minutes time. So we'll make sure you can enjoy some racing cars on screen while we get ready for the race. And I hear from you guys watching as to who you're here to support, because that is always very important message and information for me. We have a small funding goal in Super Chat on the stream at the moment. As I say, this is the round 2 of the championship. We'll be going elsewhere for other portions of the championship. I tell you what I'll do is I will try and get that up on screen for you, and we'll have a little chat about that incoming championship information. Here is the calendar on screen then, as we look and see that the GT World Challenge schedule for season 4.2 goes next to Tokyo South Center counterclockwise, and in the twilight conditions. That'll look fantastic. Then Trail Mountain reverse, Deep Forest reverse, Dragon Trail in Croatia at a sunrise race with no safety car for the first time since I have been commentating for Deviant. So that's a really big deal to have no safety car. And then we'll go to Brands Hatch for the season finale. I'm hoping, I haven't had confirmation, but I'm hoping that is the full Grand Prix circuit of Brands Hatch and not the mini Indy circuit. But we shall wait for confirmation to receive that information. But we do also have the GT Sport. If you want to get involved in Deviant Racing, you're watching, you like what you see, and you'd love to be part of the racing, then follow the link either to the Deviant Racing channel that is in the title, or there should be a link to the Discord in the description of today's video. If there isn't, just give me a shout out, and Chaotica's just saying we'll just be one more second getting everything organized and ready. I haven't heard from our fantastic audience yet, so please do shout up. I want to make sure that you will feel part of today's race. It's really important to me that you feed information and your thoughts and your humor and all sorts, and your speculation about what might or might not be about to happen. I love to see it, and it is fantastic that you give your time to join us here live. I can see lots of you are here already, but you're all a bit shy. Hopefully not everybody has the flu like Larry. We've got the safety car driven by Chaotica, and also our qualifying session, as Don't Need Time is here to cheer on Creamy or Creamy Jim, I think is the Brangelina style couple's name for Creamy and Jim. But Izzy's the first car out on track, so let's get you some race information on the screen as well. So just a quick outlap then for Izzy, driving the Audi R8 for Team Van der Vaart, the German outfit, with the green flashes on the car as well. Oh, thank you so much, Roy, as well. That's wonderful of you to leave a tip or one of the super chats. And so we've hit our goal already. So is it time to make a new goal? But thank you so much, Roy. Appreciate your appreciation. And that's fantastic. So Izzy is first out there as he's cheering on Team Van der Vaart as well. Like I say, Izzy racing in the VR helmet. We'll have the chance for the first flying lap. We were very strict in GTD Pro for the time limit, so we may be instigating a new closure rule at 0 time remaining in qualifying. It is not necessarily that you cross the line before the checkered flag and get a whole lap to reset. That it may have changed. I'll need some confirmation from our drivers. Dirty Time might be able to give me that confirmation, because we did close off very quickly, and I have obviously I have a vested interest. I have asked that we can get our races underway as soon as possible, because this race holds up my next race, and so on. I have a very tight schedule on a Sunday for racing, but here is Izzy then as he runs down in towards turn 1. This is the Daiichi corner, and it is downhill braking into what should be a fairly early apex, but is he not quite nailing that one? Turn 2 is just an acceleration zone on the run through to the uphill Coca-Cola corner. Of course, you're going to get lots of elevation change in a mountainous region, and running through the 100R here, and understeering as many cars usually do as they run through downhill braking into the hairpin of turn 6. It's not really a hairpin, it's quite a sharp early apex corner, and then you're going to have another understeer moment as you go through turns 8 and 9, 300R, and then heading downhill for the slightly faster than usual Dunlop right-hander. You can see those red concrete markers on the inside of the corner. That's just that's where the track can go on a different configuration for the long circuit. Round the turn 11 for today anyway, in towards 12, and now Nets corner, nailing a great apex for Izzy here, getting out onto the rumble strip on the exit. Then you want to go super wide for as late an apex as you can afford here through Panasonic final corner before that slingshots you down the start finish straight, and you get a good idea of what your first flying lap has managed to achieve. As we go to cross the line then for Izzy, what's the time going to be? It's going to be a 1:37.3 for the first flying lap. Astonishing, can't beat that. TX Speedstars can. Welcome back, TX Speedstars. Bongit, though, leading the championship, goes 3rd. Let's see what Guras Kai can do. He goes down into 6th because Creamy just beats him there. As Sully, Creamy appears to be in a Spider-Man livery. Sully goes 6th, and then we'll track where Jim is. He stays 8th. You can see Kuros Kai, and then our Saito. As our Saito comes out of that final Panasonic corner, can he get himself further up the grid than his current P11? Chaotica waiting in the pit lane to strike for his safety car. I will wait for information from our live audience or from Discord as to when our next run is going to be. But at the moment, it's TX Speedstars who is the pole position holder, and he is running now on board with him as we are tracking. I think that's Bongit in front, Canadian championship leader after the first round. And TX Speedstars then getting a nice apex in the turn 11 today, through into turn 12 and now 13 into Nets corner. We get a nicer apex, but that tends to steal us a little bit on the exit, sort of lose out slightly. It's Astonishing directly in front of us, so it's a big tail snap for TX, and I guess now he'll be heading back in towards the pit lane, will he? Because he knows that lap is done for. On the way to the pits he goes, and Bongit goes to cross the line then. Will this be even faster? Is he second?
again, and Bongit goes back into second place, but TX is still 0.5 of a second to the good here. Let's go and see what Siam is up to. Siam heads towards the line now. This is the Mercedes AMG we're on board with, and he goes fourth. Siam into fourth place, 1.2 seconds off the ultimate pace though. Thrasher has crossed the line no faster. Sully is on a lap at the moment, I believe. And let's see if Jim can't go quicker either. Kuros Kai still waiting. That's a good lap from our Saito. He goes 11. Well, I would say good lap. My apologies. He is still 4 seconds away from the ultimate pace of TX Speedstars. I'm guessing. Well, I was guessing as went into the pits, but no, he stays out. So here we are on board the Mercedes. 3-pointed star on the steering wheel if the engine note didn't give it away. Winding the car through and over the crest then of Net's corner. It's now Panasonic coming up, and there is Mount Fuji. Nice little short shift at the apex. Will we be heading into the pit lane or keeping going? The sky looks quite dark out there for TX as we go across. Izzy set a new lap record for himself, but that only keeps him third. TX doesn't go quicker on this lap. I wonder how many drivers will go into the pits now at this stage. So we know that Bongit's in. We'll see what Siam does. He's also in that Mercedes, car number 78. Siam is rocking here. He goes to cross the line. He goes faster, but only by 11 thousandths of a second. So it is not happening for the guys on their second laps. This looks to be the start of a new hot lap then, with a Japanese special livery we'll inspect later on for astonishing, very different engine note as he goes down in towards Daiichi corner. Needs to try and pinch the apex here. You can hear just a blipping, an Ayrton Senna style blip on the throttle on the downshift. I'm not sure that buys you anything in modern GT3s, but sounds pretty cool. Thrasher is pitted. Astonishing is nearly 0.2 of a second away from his best. It's right on board with Jim then and see. I don't know if you guys prefer sitting on the hood here for the better view of the sky and the surroundings, or you prefer being seeing everything the driver is doing inside the cockpit. So speak up and tell me your preference at this point. I tend to like spending qualifying actually at the wheel with the driver and seeing what they're seeing. As we go down into turn 10, nice apex, but I fear it's not quite going all to plan here for Jim at the moment. We're losing time at this stage, so this lap won't be, I don't think, good enough to lift him any further up the order. 8 minutes 30 have elapsed. We have a minute and a half left to go. Fastest lap so far, a 35.7 from TX, because this with fuel on board as well. So the drivers really do have to make the absolute most of qualifying and the running as much as possible. That gets the cars as light as possible for the ensuing laps. Here we go, as the it does look like the rain is rolling in quite quickly here. We may even get rain before the end of qualifying. Who knows? As we'll go on board for now with TX. Let's see, certainly this sector, see if he is going any quicker. I don't think he will be, looking at the fact that he's got his tyres to this stage. 9 minutes 15 have gone by. I think it might be too late here for Bongit if the same conditions hold as we saw in qualifying for the GTD Pros, which was a complete cut-off at the 10-minute mark. But Bongit is going faster. He's got the purple first sector. That means he is fastest of all as he follows Jim. Be hoping not to get too much dirty air off the back of the Peugeot in front of him. Bongit driving on the right-hand side, so that means he's in a Japanese car. As we go down towards that sector, and he is up. He's purple at this stage. He needs to completely nail this final sector, but it's going to be difficult because Jim is right there and on a hot lap himself. So we've gone over the timing beam, over the 10 minutes. Looks like we won't be quite so strict here as we collect a bollard for Bongit. This is going to really hurt Bongit, who is trying to steal that final sector and continue the lap on purple. And no, lap is ruined for Bongit, as Jim, on his own hot lap here, is trying to do the job. Looks like the rain is going to come, but the time has elapsed. The time has gone before he could even cross the line, so maybe it was academic for Bongit. But TX Speedstars is your pole person on a 35.792 ahead of Bongit and Izzy. Then comes Creamy and Siam, Astonishing and Thrasher, Sully in 8th position. Jim gets 9th, Kuroski in 10th, and our Saito is the 11th and final racing driver today. We've got a safety car driver in the Crown Athlete G safety car of Chaotica, but for TX that was significantly quicker. I think Bongit may have had it at the end there on a new set of tyres, but it wasn't to be, unfortunately. So it doesn't make a difference as to the distance between the cars on the starting grid. Safety car lap 16, we're just being told from Chaotica. That's very useful information. So I will just give a quick thanks for that one. I'll just have to type it, I think. So hopefully we'll be underway very, very soon and limit the lateness, the tardiness that I will suffer for my following race. Hopefully that's the situation anyway. So I've got 33 past the hour. Hopefully we'll be on as soon as humanly possible for everybody. The race will begin, so that was very, very tidily done from Chaotica. My thanks to him. So getting ready then to get the race underway. 1 hour we will have racing. That was 35 laps only just for the top two in the GTD Pro. So my feeling is we will end up with 34 or possibly even 33 for some drivers. Round 2 begins then for Fuji for the GTD series here at the GT World Challenge by Deviant Racing. And it's dropped the clutch and go. The Mercedes, the Audi away well from the start. It's actually the the Peugeot struggling away from the line as it is all to play for up here at the front of the race as Bongit goes down the inside in the Polio Loco and Siam stuck on the outside. Big slide from Siam on the way through. And remember that harder mediums are the required tyre before any rainfalls or during any rainfall if they haven't done it so far. There's Creamy in P4 in the Spider-Man livery. Izzy in 5th and Astonishing in 7th for Team Vanderveld have suffered a little bit through the course of the start of the race as we just check in on everybody has managed to make it through. Bongit leads though, TX Speedstars with a tremendous start. Then comes Siam, and then it is all to play for 4th position as Creamy leads on in the metallic blue and red Spider-Man car for the Spider-Man game for Team Sony Interactive, that is, from Izzy and Thrasher right behind as they are line astern. Hard tyres on board for these drivers who may decide to pit quickly. Something that surprised me in the GTD Pro is we had pit stops after lap 1 to get rid of the hard tyre as soon as possible, and then many drivers actually ending up looking into being able to use hard mediums at the end of the race. TF Speedstars is climbing all over the back of the Polio Loco Honda, and now the Mercedes and Honda will go nose to nose on the way in, but TX Speedstars pits. So does Siam off the hard tyre after lap 1. I'm sure be hoping for a safety car. I think, was it 16? I've forgotten. I'm so sorry, Chaotica. I've managed to forget the safety car lap already. I just really struggle to retain any information when I'm commentating. It's Astonishing alongside with Creamy, but Izzy, Creamy's struggling. Izzy gets by on the inside as Creamy was out on the outside going into the corner. This is Izzy, and the seas will part in front of Izzy as Creamy is off the circuit, rejoins just about safely. The team builder car of Thrasher is catching behind as well. And then the second of the Peugeots, this time driven by Jim. Red Dead Redemption 2 is his game choice for the Team Sony Interactive. and Thrasher moving around in the background. Lots of drivers starting on the hard tyre here just to get it out of the way and not have to use it after the rain or during the rain. That is the crucial issue at heart here, because we're expecting rain to come into the second third of the race, if not before. There is a set of randomness to it. Thank you, Zen, I appreciate it. I never like to rely on my memory mid-race, but TX and Siam. Now TX has had the pit stop done already, so he's on the new set of mediums, but he's dropped 25 seconds from the lead of the race, and he can't get those rears up to temperature either, and they are sliding around. It's the Team 404 Motorsport who are celebrating businesses and entities that we have loved and lost, and this one is Radio Shack for today. So great to see former businesses being remembered well here. Kuros Kai in P11. I believe this is a glove-ass design for many of our teams, but particularly for the Team 404 Motorsport. Bongit across the apex quite aggressively of turn 3. Coca-Cola. That's yeah, you're certainly taking a risk at those penalties for that. So the safety car coming 1 lap earlier than it did in the GTD Pro. Will that time nicely for the rain or not? Has to be a big question mark for our racers here, as Creamy is holding up, I think, now. Astonishing and Thrasher in the battle for third position. Thrasher right on the tail of this battle right now, and you can see the sun still glinting off that metallic blue nose of Creamy's Peugeot RCZ, and Thrasher is right there as well. The Audi celebrating everything that is Japanese on the Van der Vaart livery, so dropping the yellow for today in place of an all white with red accents. The German flags have gone for now, at least. We'll look at those liveries in close detail during the safety car period, as we always do. Just let's ride on board, shall we, with Thrasher, as we try and get that slipstream and time the run out of the slipstream, or just nerf Astonishing in the rear for a bump draft. That could be a lot more, a lot better a solution here. So as we run through, Siam's down in 10th. There's Saito in the Nismo, and then running through. Now I want to have a wild stab there at the livery for Saito. Let's have a look. Ryan Guest. I do not know. Sorry. I thought for a moment that it was a different type of livery, but there is Jim in 6th position for Team Sony Interactive. Of course, a favourite of many of us as Sony gamers, by definition here on Gran Turismo. Thrasher in the Lamborghini for Team Builder, having a look at the back of the Audi R8 of Astonishing. Hard tyres still on this front pack. Now what will they do? Do they decide that essentially it will dry up later, so they will use the mediums? Do they decide that they'll take a risk that it doesn't dry up and they have to do a final lap on the mediums today? In which case they need to be watching that race clock very, very carefully. Will it actually come to being on the right tyre on the final lap of the race? I won't give you spoilers for the GTD Pro, but it's certainly something to be thinking about. So I'm going to need some information from everybody about this livery, particularly on the Nismo today, as Speedstars comes through in the Radio Shack Mercedes with his teammates Siam. They've gone hard to medium. Chaotica is on soft tyres because he is our safety car driver. He may need to change those tyres though for the safety car period. We did have a very wet safety car period in GTD Pro. That doesn't give you any spoilers. Bongit, he wasn't the fastest in qualifying, but my word is he quick right now, as he has a 5.2 second lead over Izzy, who is racing in the Audi R8 for Team Van der Vaart. And then we've got Creamy still holding off this group here for third place. That's Astonishing and Thrasher. Now I wonder if Astonishing will get into trouble with the livery police here for having a slightly transparent race number livery sticker on his on the side of his car. I'll talk more about that later, but that's not quite to code, I don't think. I know it kind of spoils people's liveries, but you've got to have your stock racing GT racing numbers on the car for easy spotter identification, of course. As here is Thrasher running on the run through towards Panasonic Corner. No surprises as to why it's called Panasonic Corner when you get to the trackside camera. As we look behind us, Jim is being gapped, I think, at the moment. So as we continue then down that long straightaway, I want to say 1.2 kilometers, I think, that main straightaway, which is a fantastically long run. Down we go into Daiichi Corner. 51 minutes remain, but the drivers will be looking skyward nervously and trying to track what is happening using their radar. I don't think we've been lucky enough to see any drivers' radar on the lower right of screen yet. Sometimes we look into it and see what the drivers can see in terms of the radar and the weather moving in. Different lines underway from Creamy and Astonishing. Creamy obviously looking quite defensive at this point. Let's join Astonishing, shall we, on board, as we seem to be getting a bit of an advantage here on the Peugeot. Possibility of a move in towards turn 10, Dunlop Corner. We've certainly got the better of the Peugeot at this stage on the hard tyre. Just about getting past now. I think we might just be planning to bide our time and go for the move, but then the early braking kind of confuses us slightly. Big correction on the way through the left-hander of Nets Corner, through Panasonic Corner. Oh, it's the wrong camera to see. We'll get there next time. At some point we'll get there. And Astonishing then should have a good run now on the tail of the slightly taller Peugeot RCZ. The massive engine cooling scoop on the roof. But actually, that Peugeot looking quite quick in a straight line. Obviously, the drivers have freedom of setup in terms of downforce. So many drivers might decide to completely trim out the downforce for that long straightaway. But they need to be thinking about the fact that a lot of that final sector is essentially spent turning. Astonishing can't find a way through. And in his quest here to try and get a better line into the corner, he could well open the door to Thrasher behind, and I think this is quite obvious now that Astonishing is running better or higher downforce levels than Creamy through the hairpin corner, as Astonishing doesn't quite nail the apex as he had liked to have done. Now we go to the right, double right of turns 8 and 9, and downhill into a slightly uphill braking zone of Dunlop Corner. Turn 10, trying to get around the outside here. Creamy probably wasn't expecting that at all. Let's just join the car on the hood here, and we'll get a look at the sky. And there, exactly as we were talking about earlier, Astonishing opens the door to Jim, who sneaks through very quickly through the corner, through into turn 12. Let's wait and see if this is the rain on its way. Back to the hood cam and see. You can see the clouds gathering. The sun is disappearing here. These drivers absolutely, nailed on, and many of these will have had the benefit of watching the GTD Pro race, which have got similar but not entirely the same weather conditions planned. So those middle portions of the race are planned, but the adjacent portions are set to random and should be consistent. Can't go like a balmy hot summer's day to completely rainy. So they're sort of adjacent random weather development that happens here. Some disagreement on the racetrack advertising hoardings as to which is the tyre of choice. It's Bridgestone Potenza. I've just seen Goodyear, and we've got Dunlop Corner as well. So clearly very very split loyalties. They'll take anybody's money, will Fuji Speedway. No exclusivity trackside here. There is the Dunlop corner overpass, or just basically it's just a signage list. There is Astonishing, and just on the back of this battle you've got Jim at the moment. So Astonishing with what looks to be more downforce, but unable to obviously make the move stick before he then has to run at a slightly slower speed down that straightaway. And I think possibly Thrasher and certainly Creamy have a higher top speed. Down here are the drivers who took that pit stop after lap 1, get rid of the hard tyres. They have got Speed Stars, who's now managed to get past Sully, who's still on his starting hard tyre. Behind him, teammate Siam is P9, he's on the medium tyre as well. And Saito then in P10 in the Nismo. It's got perhaps the largest race sticker on his hood that I've ever seen. Kuros Kai on his own still at the moment on the in 11th position. That doesn't mean the race is completely over for him. Just needs to stay on the lead lap if he can, as we wait for lap 16 and the safety car. Bonget's lead at the moment, 7.2 seconds for the Polio Loco Jollibee livery Honda NSX. Izzy has a small off-throttle penalty to pay. He's gone for the fully metallic stickers on his Vanderfelt car, and I think his teammate is using the matte colours. Izzy still quite aggressively over the apex there of Dunlop. Again, flirting with track limits when he's already got an off-throttle penalty to pay. Also like to see the little Duolingo sticker on the livery of the Vanderfelt. Creamy, the drivers behind Creamy, Thrasher and Astonishing have been queuing up here to make the move, but have so far been unable to get the better of the Peugeot, which seems to have a good top speed, but perhaps now Thrasher could be close enough. Let's see. Well, actually that Peugeot's torque gets away really nicely out of Panasonic corner. What's the distance behind? Well, Astonishing pits on lap 9, which is kind of neither here nor there really with the tyre selection. And there's the windscreen wipers, the windshield wipers are on now for Thrasher. That's interesting. I wonder, well, Bonget has pitted as well. I wonder if these drivers have been able to time this with using the radar view to see if the rain is coming in and pit before the rain even falls. Let's see, wet tyres on Bonget. Fantastic timing there. And Astonishing, I think, is likely to have done the same thing. So absolutely perfect decision making. And the intermediates have gone on for Astonishing. Sully's in the pits off the hard tyre. In comes our Saito as well. There's Chaotica waiting for his moment in the sun. Sully out of the pits. Intermediate tyres for him as well. But the full wet is a bold choice, I have to say, for Bonget here, because it's going to take a little while before the track is completely at full wet condition. It's pretty much just the psychological rain at the moment, the rain that falls on the windshield but isn't actually settling on the racetrack. It is just starting to settle now. How hot will his full wet tyres be getting at this early stage of proceedings? He's going to have to be very gentle on them because he could end up using them up way too fast here. It's finally starting to get a little bit wetter, but Astonishing going for the intermediate tyres has ruined his opportunity to really get a better lap time than Bonget, because he's got a 3-second pit lane infraction penalty, either crossing the line on the way in or the way out of the pit lane. So that's not great, but the rain coming quite early here in the GTD race. Izzy, Creamy, Thrasher have all decided to pit now as well. Siam in off the mediums. So he's now in for his second stop already. This is Astonishing. I think it is intermediates if it's anything at this stage. I think that Bonget in P1, without that penalty for Astonishing, I think you'd be catching Bonget much faster here. So trying to be quite careful on the tyres. Bonget, 2 laps at just under 2 minutes with the in and the out lap cycle. but we'll get an idea for how the car is handling. Should be absolutely planted on those wet tyres, but he's using them very quickly. I have to say, that is some very aggressive tyre degradation. So we'll be hoping that it rains hard and heavy and fast, as it often does here in Fuji. But for Bongit, it might be a slight miscalculation. He may have the cushion to make it work though, but and he'll just be patient, I think, with his gap at the moment. 7.7 seconds. Izzy back out of the pits. He's gone for the intermediate tyres. Creamy has made up loads of time in the pit lane, and it's not as if he didn't fuel, because he's actually fueled up to the full point on his tank. So Creamy suddenly unlocking amazing pace on the wet tyre, on the intermediate tyre in the wet here, and quite how he did that on his pit stop and outlap sequence to completely catch Izzy is a little bit beyond me. But it's that in-lap that I think was strong, although it's registering as a 2-minute in-lap. Bongit, yeah, he also fueled to the full point. Creamy looked like he was running low downforce, which shouldn't really give you any kind of straight line advantage down the main straightaway. Here comes Izzy then, and it looks like Izzy has got a straight line speed advantage over Creamy. But Creamy just looks incredibly confident on those intermediate tyres here. I say that, and he runs wide. Izzy gets the place back. It is so distracting in the PSVR2 that Izzy is rocking. The audible sound of the rain on the helmet, on the top of the car, on the windshield, as on the puddles as you run through them. You kind of get this slapping, sloshing noise as you run through a puddle, and you only really find out about it because you can hear it. But it also means that not only are you seeing the rain on your windshield, but you're hearing it all the time. Creamy down the inside into the hairpin. Beautiful re-overtake from Creamy that time. Let's see this from the chase camera point of view as we almost make contact. But Izzy did very definitely open the door there, and then Creamy down the inside, leaving a gap to the outside as well, and running through and getting that place back. Creamy then with some great pace here, but clearly missing out in the twistier sections of the racetrack, but able to get a lot better as he runs onto the start-finish straight. There goes Izzy back into second. A great battle between these two as they run in. So 4 laps still to go before the safety car comes in. And now the track is finally at the right point for the wet tyres, I would estimate, but the intermediates will still probably be quite usable. How is Bongit's lap time? 46.1. And these drivers crossing the line now, absolutely head-to-head, 47.8. So Bongit, yes, he has a small speed advantage himself. Creamy is all over the road under the brakes, but managing to get the apex ahead of Izzy. And Thrasher's right there as well in the Lamborghini. I had no idea this Peugeot was going to perform quite this well under the rain conditions. Ricky Maru saying it must be the rain. Absolutely. I think the correct words are it must be the water, Ricky. My tyres are wet, it must be the water. As Creamy is in second place, the 38.5 minutes on the clock. And Izzy stuck on the outside, trying the switch back. It's not quite there for him. As Thrasher gets the better of the run through. Now Thrasher on the outside. Izzy doesn't see him, or does he? I'm not sure. I can barely see what's going on the track here at Fuji in this heavy rain portion of the race. This is perhaps a bit more rain than the drivers were expecting at this stage. We were expecting it to get very heavy as we tick over towards the sort of second half of the race. We still haven't had our safety car period. Izzy drifting slightly on the way through Net's corner in towards the Panasonic corner now. And Thrasher right there with him, looking for a better exit. Little snap again from Izzy. Now I think Thrasher will have an advantage here in terms of straight line. Might get a double toe from Creamy in front as well. Here comes Thrasher then with that overspeed. It's not super dramatic. They're going to have to do the job on the brakes if he does it at all, unless Izzy or Creamy make a mistake down here. Wow, tremendous visual quality there of the rain as it's washing around, and you'll see a dry line maybe later if it eventuates and we get there. TX Speedstars, remember, started on the pole position, has taken an extra pit stop to most drivers behind him, but he's used all the required dry tyres. Astonishing in 6th, Jim in 7th, and Siam in 8th place on the run out of turn 2. Sully is in 9th, and is just rounding turn 1 in the Nismo is R. Saito. Kuros Kai down in 11th, a long way back at this stage, but Bongit leads us by 11.5 seconds now. So if he had a pace advantage in the dry, it is just exponentially increased in the wet, and finally the wet tyres are the right ones to be on. You can see just how difficult this race is going to be for everybody, as Bongit himself isn't having a particularly smooth time out there. Still bravely using the full range of second gear on the way out of the corner. Back to this battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th now then, as we've been enjoying the whole time. Speedstars though closing in on this group, who also need to use the medium tyre before the end of the race. This was a new bit of learning for me. Check out that PSVR2 helmet on the driver's race helmet transfer there for Izzy. But new learning for me today was that even in the wet conditions, the drivers have to use the dry tyre. This is our only scheduled dry race today of the season, so it's probably not worth committing a huge amount of time to learning how to drive in the wet. But Creamy, again, a little bit late on the brakes, goes down into Daiichi corner and struggles to come out of it safely. Here we go. You'd think that the car would stick better with this livery on, but sadly, way out onto the exit there. Not for the first time, Creamy having to pick up the pieces of a difficult turn in through Daiichi corner. Let's get you back onto live camera angles. And Izzy is leaving a very large gap on the inside for Creamy to understeer through. Quite sensibly there from Izzy, our Colombian-American driver, who races in the VR helmet, as do several other drivers, some who decide to tell us, others who don't. Izzy on the outside of Dunlop, misses out and just out onto the small section of grass there. There's just no recovering the car at pace. Here comes TX to close in now. Creamy back into 2nd. And what tyres did TX put on? He's got the full wet, and the rest of the drivers with him. Thrasher on the wets, Creamy on the intermediates. But it is a real toss-up between the two compounds of tyres, which is the better one to be on. Here comes Thrasher on the way through. This is the final flying lap before the safety car will emerge, and the driver's not using this opportunity to pit on the last opportunity here. So waiting for that safety car to fit his tyres and come on through. TX then in 4th place. Oh, and there's Creamy again, making a bit of a meal of turn 1, but hanging on because luckily for him, Thrasher was in the same situation. TX getting that heavy Mercedes AMG through in the Radio Shack colours for 404 Motorsport. Zen tells me the safety car is out. Let's see, there he is. Because Bongit was so far ahead, Chaotica did emerge from the pits and has managed to get onto the leader. So here we go then. So let's have a look at our safety car in close detail. Home race for our safety car, the Toyota. A very unspectacular looking vehicle, but good to have a different variety on here. So that is our silver safety car. This is the Jollibee Pollo Loco, Crazy Chicken livery for the Honda NSX team. And Spider-Man Miles Morales Sony Interactive game here, the livery, but I am questioning the usage of that race sticker on the side of the car. I don't want to get drivers into trouble, but I have to kind of wonder what's going on there. But I do like the livery, it's a nice option. The team builder in the Lamborghini, as we've seen before. Variations on a theme very much here for team builder. Little Webbo sticker on the back as well. There's the Radio Shack for 404 Motorsport, who are celebrating bands and retail stores that we have lost. So I'm expecting to see Blockbuster at some point, hopefully. I know a lot of the designs are already in the works or even finished. Here is Izzy in the Japanese special Team Wunderfahrt livery, with a little bit of green accents there with the Duolingo, the green GTD options. I think that's Fujifilm, is it, on the back wing, but it's trimmed out to the point where I can't actually read the rear wing. It looks like the Fujifilm logo. I reckon they typed in the word Fuji into the showcase to find out what to use. And this is the one that is confusing me today. This livery. Is it a sports team? I think it might be. Rheingeist. I just don't know what's happening with this one for the Nismo. But as I say, the largest race sticker on the hood that I've ever seen, the car number 19. Then we've got Red Dead Redemption, Rockstar Games for Team Sony Interactive. I'm not sure about the green, but again, you've kind of got that green for the GTD race series, the theme that is continuing throughout the course. Then we've got our Predators livery here in the chrome and blue fade for Sully. French flag, I think it's more about team captain Comacopa, and then you've got the Old Glory on the rear window as well for Sully. Radio Shack for Siam. Kuros Kai in the colour fade, purple and blue team builder. Team builder is an app for fitness and sports team coaches to use to manage their team. I also saw Vivo Barefoot stickers on here as well. So he's also hit the wall and has rubbed off some of those very nice stickers here. Has Kuros Kai, unfortunately. Back to our safety car again then, who will be coming in and leaving us with half a race just over to go. Glover's saying, Saito. What's wrong with Saito from his position? Is the livery? Can you give me any help here, Glovas, with the livery? Has it not come through as you were intending for the Nismo? Should be a NASCAR livery for Team NASCAR. Maybe this is a famous NASCAR livery, and I'm sorry, but I don't know NASCAR very well. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, unfortunately. Camry safety car is amazing, says Floody. I think it's horrible. It just doesn't look like a race car at all. Anyway, bong it. We might as well have a Suzuki Carry or something as a safety car. It's only got to reach 65-70 miles an hour. Bongit in first position will start as we go green flag racing with 28.5 minutes on the clock. Bongit ahead of Creamy in the Peugeot RCZ. And then it's a little bit of a battle going on. Saito in P5, P3 is Thrasher. Saito now up to P4 on the inside of TX, who's been one of the quicker drivers so far this race. And it all looks a little bit difficult as they go into turn one at racing speed. Cold tyres here. TX has got the wet tyres on. I wonder how heavily it will continue to rain. And our Saito with the intermediates, it's head to head as they go in towards the Coca-Cola turn 3. And Thrasher getting ahead then. TX is a little bit struggling, I think, on the medium, on the wet tyres at the moment. But he has used all of his dry tyre allocation. So if he's chosen the right tyres for today, he won't need to stop again. I'm not so sure. It looks like that the intermediates are the tyre to be on if you want to get all the way home, but TX Speedstars gets that overtake done on Saito now. So there he is, Saito in 5th, Sully in 6th, following them Siam in 7th and Izzy in 8th place. The Audi's not looking in great position at the moment, but I think hoping to try and move forward before the end of our hour's racing. There's plenty of time left to go, of course, as Kuros Kai gets a little bit sideways, heading through the 10-11 as it is today, in towards Nets corner, and then the final corner Panasonic. And you'll hear now, you'll see exactly why it's called Panasonic. This corner. So Chaotica is staying to watch the fun, I think, at the moment. Creamy has got ahead of Bongit, and I wonder if that was just a bit mistimed from Creamy, who Bongit will now on the wet tyre try and get the overlap. They're going unnecessarily close to each other here. Bongit should have better stopping power, but Creamy going for the switchback. It's all a bit delicate as they run through that corner, and it looks like Creamy in the wet conditions with the intermediate tyres on in this Peugeot, doing a fantastic job at the moment for the Spider-Man variant of the Sony Interactive team this season. Bongit though right with him in the Polio Loco Honda NSX, but the car not quite feeling as planted, I think, at this point. Behind them, Thrasher and TX Speedstars, Sully and Arsaito, Izzy and Siam. But this is the battle at the lead of the race right now. How heavily it feels like it's raining. Well, that is pretty heavy at this point. Dropping down through the gears. Careful not to get on the grass too much. Behind Bongit, you've got Thrasher, but the spray is meaning that it is really hard to see where the cars are and gauge the closing speed in the mirrors. So it is heads-up driving. You've got to be super aware of what's going on around you. And what about all of this going on down in the background here, running through? This is riding on board the Radio Shack Mercedes. Is Sully, Izzy, Saito all come together. Wow, awful lot going on there. And then Sully getting a full slide going on. That's definitely going to get a Webbo style point for that little slide from Sully, who holds on to his position and just about the car. This is the top speed of the Peugeot, sorry, with the hazard lights still going. And I think Glovas enjoyed that save from Sully as well. Down we go, and Astonishing is the one to lose it this time. But I don't think he'll be the last driver to lose adhesion with the track surface, as Jim is in 10th place. Everybody's still really close to one another. Kuros Kai in 11th, and then back to the lead because Bongit has retaken the lead of the race against Creamy. Doesn't matter who I look at, someone else elsewhere on the track is making an overtake, and Creamy comes into contact with Bongit there at fairly slow speed with very little in the way of consequence to either driver, I think, but Creamy getting the overtake done via the use of a little bit of contact. And now Creamy through turn 10, off onto the grass through the huge puddle and the swamp on the exit of turn 10. But hanging on somehow to the lead of the race. Another tag from the rear, so I think that's a little bit of driver justice going on there. Bongit going outside to inside. Creamy stuck on the outside now. TX might be able to pounce on this opportunity. He's on the outside, but he's trying to turn into the apex. Meanwhile, Thrasher is going to be quite close to him. There's going to be zero grip on that exit of the track there, as we see these rivals go wheel to wheel down the start-finish line once again. And you get a great idea about how closely matched the top speed is on these cars. Looks like Bongit in the NSX. Car working beautifully here on its home track. Oh, very late on the brakes for TX as he collides with Creamy slightly. Thrasher getting too much apex in these wet conditions, I think. Big gap behind of 7.7 seconds. This is only just a short distance after the safety car. But my caution here is on anyone on the wet tyres, because if it does dry up at the end of the race, they will be completely useless. So it's a big gamble to be on the wets at the moment. It's probably the right tyre for the moment, but is it going to cost you an extra stop at the end? Especially, of course, if you haven't used the dry tyres that you're supposed to have used before the end of the race. So it's still all going on behind this group. Look, there is Siam turning right to go, turning left to go right at the moment. Sully goes through into 5th place against Siam as they'll go downhill next, and Sully is giving up the inside line into the right-hander to come, the Dunlop corner. Sully goes off again, and Siam will walk through that open door, and so will Izzy. Will stick his foot in that closing door and get on through. Sully around the outside and losing 2 positions within 2 corners, despite being in a position to attack earlier on. Kiros Kaine's astonishing 9th, Jim is 10th, and there is our Saito not having an easy day of things, killing our Bollard at the moment. Bongit hasn't been able to open up the gap this time, ahead of TX, and Roy Mustang is enjoying the racing no end. It is super close stuff here, and it's just a lottery every time they try to break into turn 1 as to who is going to get it right and who is going to get it wrong. Let's have a look at the following pack here for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th positions. Hard to see from this camera angle, but it looked like Siam was a little bit late onto the brakes. Most drivers getting it okay that time. Astonishing quite wide on the exit, but doing okay at the moment. Back up to the battle at the front, at the head of the field. That noise you just heard was running through a river-like puddle. We are seeing some biblical amounts of rain here on the racetrack today. You see just the spray effect here off the back of the Peugeot. Finally, some clear air developing between these drivers as the 2 at the front are starting to really push. That was a good gain from Thrasher that time. The outside for a later apex, earlier throttle application for Thrasher, and he'll try and do exactly the same thing to Creamy here. Creamy having to keep the door closed, and then wandering around in the braking zone possibly, but probably not deliberately. Siam able to get some distance now in 5th. Izzy in 6th. Sully off the road again, and look at the mud and water being kicked up under the front wheel arch of the Ferrari. There's not a lot of room in that wheel arch, and still then defending heavily on the way through Panasonic, final corner. So Sully trying to get that power down. He had a little bit of practice on the track as the safety car driver earlier for the GTD Pro, but obviously at a much slower speed. Astonishing 10th place, and Kuros Kai, I think, has probably been off track here. There we finally see why it's called Panasonic corner. And Bongit then through turn 3. Wet tyres wearing away, but mostly because he was the first to fit them when the track was still actually technically dry. So will we actually get drying conditions in the final quarter of the race, I wonder? We did in the GTD Pro, but this is a different portion, a different set of randomized weather conditions for the final section of the race, so it could remain raining. The drivers will have a little bit of information on their head-up display. They have the option of looking at the weather radar, as TX Speedstars is definitely closing now. I wonder if the rain has eased a little and it is bringing the intermediate tyres into play. Both drivers at the front, though, have the wet tyres on. So this is about driver skill. This is about anticipating the grip and reacting when things start to go a little bit wrong. Good challenge going on here for 3rd as well. It's the shape of that diffuser on the Peugeot. It's making use of every inch of the allowed length of the race car, I think. And that rear wing is very far to the rear as well from the main body of the car. Looks like Bongett just able to get the gap there he needs. TX was a lot later on the brakes. Down into the braking zone of Daiichi corner goes Creamy, and you've got Thrasher taking the more classic racing line, but not ultimately gaining a whole lot of anything as they run through. Drivers really are keeping it together very well indeed in these difficult conditions. Kiros Kai now into 7th ahead of Sully. Sully in 8th with Jim in the 2nd of the Peugeots. This Team Sony Interactive. Rocking the Red Dead Redemption 2 game livery. And astonishing in that beautifully harmonic Audi R8 exhaust. Not able to do a whole hell of a lot today. Astonishing, down in 10th position, just ahead of the tail runner in the classic NASCAR livery, R. Saito. Bongett leads from TX, but this is going to run and run with 16 minutes on the clock. Let's get ourselves inside the race car and see how things are looking for our great drivers here. TX versus Bongett. Looks like he struggled to get the car out of Panasonic corner. Bongett away really well from that one. The gap opening now to 5 clear seconds to P3. These drivers successfully making it into a 2-horse battle at this stage anyway, before any drying stage of the racing. And it looks like, well, certainly TX seems to have more tread left in his wet tyres, but I think the rain is starting to ease slightly. We are only talking about very small amounts of change of the rain conditions. This is the battle for 5th at the moment. Is he coming down into turn 1? I'm kind of excited to see cars coming down into turn 1 over and over again. Kiros Kai getting a whole load more turn-in than he was anticipating through Daiichi corner. Jim on the defensive now in 7th. Sully alongside Kai. But that is a difficult pinching approach into turn 3 Coca-Cola for anybody on the inside line into the corner there. Definitely favours you if you're on the outside and can take a classic racing line, just a tiny clip on the apex. Izzy P6 for Van der Vaart in the Audi behind the 404 Motorsport, sponsored by Radio Shack. I think they are going to struggle a little bit for funding this year, 404 Motorsport, with all of their business sponsors being defunct. I hope they're not being paid in gift vouchers. Astonishing watching this battle now with a fair degree of excitement, I imagine. Sully right around the outside of turn 11. Astonishing gets the opportunity to get down the inside into Net's corner as well. Kiros Kai will lose out, come what may, on the exit of Panasonic. Still fighting hard, but essentially it's a hiding to nothing in that 10th place. But it's great to see 10 cars all in individual battles with each other as they run through. Let's just check on Creamy and Thrasher. Thrasher getting the better of Creamy through turn 1. Are we going to get another battle? Here we are. Siam versus Izzy. Izzy taking the out to inside run. Siam a little bit hesitant, but recovering nicely. Excuse me. And Jim in 7th. That was astonishing. Followed closely by Kiros Kai. It's so cool to see everybody. Sully's gone in the pits. He's fitted the intermediate tyres. So just a reminder, the inters are very usable, and the drier it gets, the more usable those inters are. But you could go straight from wets. This isn't Formula 1, where the wets are a completely useless tyre. The wets can be very, very useful, and I think we've got a dry line starting to develop. Let's have a look on board with Astonishing. I don't see windshield wipers with 12.5 minutes just over left to go, I think the track is now going to start to dry out. You can see that darker line on the racetrack. Still a little bit of spray kicking up, but things are changing as we run through this portion of the racetrack on lap 26 here for P8 anyway. Normally you would see those windshield wipers on with the amount of spray coming off the back, but at the moment at least not needing it for Astonishing as he heads into the next right-hander. This is the Panasonic corner, and then slowly, carefully getting the power down, using the intermediate tyres and going fully out onto the wet side of the track. Why? So that his tyres can regain a little bit of grip. He's not going into the pit lane at this stage. He's just trying to cool those tyres, stop them overheating, because they'll go into a very negative spiral with overheating. Kuros Kai has pitted. This is the move that drivers at the back of the field have the option to do. They have the least to lose of anybody, so they can pit, they can come out, try and cope with the car on some dry tyres. Somehow or other, well, Sully has gone on to those mediums that he needed to use. So for anybody who started on the hards and didn't pit before the wet tyres were needed, they now need to make that decision and get onto the medium tyre and brave it out there on the wet conditions. But Bongit and TX still, both of them on the wet tyre, they don't have an unassailable lead at the head of the field, and as soon as those wet tyres start to give up, they have to bail to the pits. And better to be slightly early than miles too late with this long racing lap here at Fuji. Gotta say that there was still quite a bit of standing water, but I don't know if the drivers will decide that really the last thing they need is to be caught at the end of the race. Are they heading into the pits? Are they just cooling the tyres? They are both going into the pits at the same time. TX will follow Bongit, Thrasher, Creamy. The GTD drivers a lot more decisive to get off those wet tyres, I think. Certainly I'm thinking anyway. There was a more split in the field decision-making process that happened for the GTD pros. Everybody seemingly now coming in and feeling the need to stem the loss of time here. Kuros Kai got onto the mediums early. He will be catching the drivers in front, but he did have quite a significant deficit, so he made the bravest decision, pitted first. Well, actually, yes, and Sully on the same lap as well. But hopefully for Kuros Kai and for Sully, they will start to pick up positions now, or at least recatch the tail of the running. These look very much like the Seahawks colours here for the NASCAR run, but I don't know the logo on the side of the car. Speedstars in first position. He's gone for soft tyres with 9.5 minutes to go. Is that too much? As Bongit's gone for the mediums, so obviously TX now needs to use those softs and build a gap, and then expect them to tail off and be in a worse position later on. So lots of gambles being taken. Who's your money on? Watching with us live in the live audience, do tell me whether you think TX on the softs or Bongit on the mediums are going to be able to overcome the other and take home the win today. Thrasher is in third place, splashing through on the mediums, and then looks like Izzy and Creamy have lost out a little bit here. Creamy on the medium, so he was great on a dry to wet changing track. Seems to have lost some of that advantage now on a wet to dry changing track as Creamy. Jim is on his medium tyres now. I think very few drivers have elected for those softs. Siam is one of them in the Mercedes. Now the Mercedes is an aggressive car on its tyre usage, so I wonder if that's going to bite him later. Astonishing P8 also on the medium tyres as both drivers head on through, and that looks like Siam with a Spinella coming out of Panasonic, just getting out onto the wet stuff on the exit, and that is definitely going to hurt for his chances of recovery here in the race. This is him following Jim don't think it's anything to do with the dirty air here, just too fast on the exit, and then we put the power on, not even 100% throttle, more like 60% throttle in second gear, and a full-on spin around. We're hoping that no one is coming behind there to get in the way, or be held up, I should say. TX has opened up a 2-second gap here after the pit stop on the tyre difference. Floody cheering on Izzy in 4th place. Happy to see. Haven't heard anybody's prediction yet as to which driver is going to take home the win today. But Izzy's in 4th. He gained really well running through that in-lap, out-lap sequence into the long left-hander, double left. Now into the next corner is Izzy, and they'll be running on almost bone dry conditions unless they happen to go off the racing line. They'll be avoiding the curbs, avoiding the runoff areas like the plague, especially those sections of wet grass that you will see on the exit as we fill our screen with Audi and Van der Veld. It's Izzy in P4. Creamy's in 5th right now. We've got Astonishing in 6th. Chased hard by Jim in 7th position. Siam, after his little spin, still got the windshield wipers on. I don't know if he's got a manual override for those. Don't think it started raining again, has it? How has only he got the windshield wipers on? I don't think I've seen that before. Kiros Kai in 9th. Sully, there is a manual override button, I believe, but usually the drivers are on automated runs. Sully, unfortunately, after picking up the Webbo style point, hasn't been having the greatest phase of the race. 5 3/4 minutes remain for our GTD drivers, as Saito is in 11th. Running then in the Team NASCAR Nismo. This is TX. 6.6 second gap. This is crazy speed from TX. I know he's on the soft tyres, but he's got to do 5 more minutes on those tyres. But this is amazing speed then from TX, unlocking in the Mercedes on this dry track now, ahead of Bongit in the Honda on the mediums. I'm quite surprised. He's got a little bit less fuel on board. Don't imagine he's going to run out. But Bongit definitely lacking a little bit here. Maybe setting up the car for those wet conditions. Maybe it's a higher downforce situation to try and stop yourself from spinning, as Thrasher runs in that P3 completely on his own. 9 seconds from Bongit, 4 seconds from Thrasher, and Izzy still in that 4th place, and hasn't forgotten about a chance at a podium. I think hasn't given up on that opportunity today. Creamy in 5th, and Astonishing in the identical car, of course, to Izzy. I do quite like an asymmetrical pattern on a livery, to say. Jim is dropping down the gears then in the Red Dead Redemption Peugeot RCZ. Siam not having as easy a day of it as his teammate. Still got those windshield wipers on. Hasn't turned them off yet. Very dangerous corner, turn 3, Coca-Cola. Pick up a very difficult off-throttle penalty cost on the way through there. Thrasher in P3, says Floody. Very pleased with that, I think. Much better apex then from Siam. We're chasing down Jim and sit in the passenger seat, in the sort of rotating passenger seat, as it were. It's like an office chair inside a race car, this view, as we look into every apex, feel every bump and every change of camber as well. Getting a little bit too close on the approach into turn 11 now. TX Speedstars leads Bongit and Thrasher, with Izzy in 4th. I think that's right. Dropping down through the gears, using the first gear for a moment, but I guess getting that final corner quite wrong. Siam didn't lose a huge amount of time, but that felt like it was very reactive. 3 minutes to go. for our race, as we are catching Jim here. Trying to follow his every move, heading down in towards Daiichi corner. Hard on the front axle on the brakes. I think that was Jim leaving a gap there, expecting a dive bomb to come that never materialized. But Siam chasing down Jim here. After his spin, Siam has looked the faster of these two drivers. The outside is a tough path here, but it does open up the inside line into the hairpin. But Jim can afford to brake later because he's got a wider angle on the way through the corners. Let's just check out where is TX. He's going to cross the line a minute and 50 something. So he's going to have to do 2 more laps, and not everybody is going to be in that situation. So this is Bonget crossing the line with a minute and 42 seconds. He might, if he can't make it across the line, he might finish on the next lap. But Thrasher runs and he will go, I think, on his final lap here. Thrasher and everybody else behind. Izzy's not far away, 3 seconds. So Thrasher needs to avoid any errors, any oversteer moments as the tyres start to fade here. Siam still on those soft tyres. Not a lot of fuel on board for Siam, but he has only got the 1 lap left to go for himself. He's past Jim here. See if we can't catch that particular manoeuvre. Unfortunately not. It was done by the time they exited out of Panasonic. So this is still, I think, the closest battle on the grid at the moment, although I think that is going to be a fading battle at this stage. We've got Guroskai in 9th. Sully crosses the line in that 10th place now, and I wonder if our Saito decides to just hold up and not do the final lap. Looks like he's powering on through to try and finish this out. But the front 2 will have an extra lap, just like happened in GTD Pro, but they are going to be doing a lap less. I think they'll be doing 34 complete laps instead of the 35. Here comes Bonget then. He could have held up there, but it's going to essentially mean that Thrasher will be the first to take the checkered flag here. There it is. Checkered flag will wave, and he takes home 3rd place. Thrasher for Team Builder, with Creamy Izzy in 4th, and Creamy crossing the line. Where did Izzy go? There he is. Okay, Creamy in 5th, and he manages to get home in the Spider-Man Sony Interactive livery. Astonishing for Team Vandervaart will cross the line in P6, and Siam in 7th. Jim in 8th. Don't forget to like the video today, folks, and support the channel in any way you can. There are tip buttons and memberships available, as well as a merch store and all the good stuff. But minimum, please leave a like and make sure you're subscribing. Guroskai in 9th, Sully in 10th, and then we've got our Saito in 11th place. But it looks like TX is going to bring this one home quite comfortably in the end. The soft tyre gamble ended up being not much of a gamble at all. Interestingly, TX Speedstars has only completed 110 miles in his Mercedes AMG. Now, he may have more than one of the same car, but that's still some going to take home a race victory in only the 2nd race of the championship here in Fuji on a car you have only put in just over 100, well, exactly 111 miles into. Bonget screams over the line in P2, and that is your completed race order. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I will just put the results on screen momentarily, then I've got to rush off to my next race, which is the SVR G1, still in Japan, but in Tokyo Expressway at midnight. So we're going to be really enjoying that one momentarily. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching today. I really appreciate all your support on the channel, as always, and we will catch you on the next race day.